Greetings, everybody. We are back on review. We are back. V 2009 just came back from a hiatus back in 2009 after some time off to retool and get a new showrunner. We are back from our, 1 week hiatus as we do this every other week. So it's a good time for both. Lego is here. Lego, how you doing?
Feeling lied to, feeling betrayed, feeling like a kicked puppy.
Feeling like a kicked puppy. That should be your tagline for this entire episode, perhaps. Okay. I was very interested to see what you had to say about this. And I was actually very interested to see what I had to say about this. I remember directly that this had happened, the hiatus had happened. And I remembered feeling that there was a difference after it came back. And I do, after the rewatch, think there is a little bit of a difference. Luckily, I'm a little more positive than you.
I thought there was a difference.
And you that it went worse, which is impressive that you think it went worse. That surprises me a little bit. I can see you saying that didn't get any better, but saying it got worse. We're gonna have to dig into this a little bit. We're gonna have to dig into this. But if this is your first time here at PLD Projects, hit that like, hit that subscribe, to all that stuff. Help us fight the almighty algorithm. We have been on this show for a little while now. We went through the original miniseries, the 2-episode miniseries in 1983. We went through the final battle, went through the entire 19-episode run of the 1985 weekly series. We are now in the 2009 series, and well, it's not been great so far. Still have another 17 episodes to go to see if it changes our mind in any way, shape, or form. But let's get right into it. We left off last episode. Jack got shivved in his church, and that's pretty much where we ended up with things. So we start off in the same fashion. We just start right from the beginning. Why is Jack alive? Why did they leave Jack alive? That's my first big question. Because I'm not, even though I'm positive, even though I'm a little more positive about the show than you are, I still have my big questions. It didn't make any sense to me that the visitor assassin leaves Jack alive.
Because not only are the writers incompetent, the characters they're writing are also.
It is. The character that's falls through after the writers.
I mean, maybe they purposely wanted to get him to the healing center.
That could be, I guess. It's still kind of a stretch, but I appreciate you stretching it for them. Stretch your brain.
See, I did a nice thing, and I want it noted.
I'll mark it down. Check. Lego's trying.
I would like to say, PLD.
Yeah.
It looked like, editing-wise, we just got the opening of Halloween 6, Curse of Michael Myers, the theatrical cut. What was happening?
Yeah, that is a great question. They like their shaky cam in this one. They like their quick editing. They like their inserting stuff randomly into places where it probably doesn't belong. And the camera work was not good.
Honestly, there were a few times when oh my God, the editing has gotten worse. I just don't understand. There were times where, we're having this conversation again that we had 3 minutes ago, though it has been foreseen. So I guess conceivably I could have forgotten. Yeah, they say that Gen Z has a short attention span with the TikToks or whatever. But whoever did this abomination needed to talk to someone about their undiagnosed ADHD, because it's a problem and it's harming people.
I agree.
Specifically.
I will say, you are a very big film buff and you love the creation behind movies, and you are deep into shots and editing and stuff. I am far more tolerant of that stuff. I don't notice things as much as you do, as far as like when they're bad, you'll call somebody up and go, oh, I didn't really think about that. I didn't really notice it too much. And I'll see it later on. I noticed some of it this week even, and that says something, because I don't usually go for that. I'm usually more about the characters and story-wise, like the plot stuff. I kind of get glom onto that, and everything else I'll notice if it's good. If it's bad, I'm like, all right, I get it. I notice it this time, and that's
normally PLD. I've seen like 350 80s horror movies. Like, I'm pretty freaking tolerant, okay, man? One of my new favorite movies is Howling 3 Marsupials, bro. I'm tolerant as hell. But if I can't stand fast-paced editing, I feel like it makes me physically sick. It's I think there's very rare times it could work. I think I'm the only person who watched The Guardians of Justice Will Save You on Netflix, but it felt like taking speed, I imagine. But that worked because it was edited and hyper stylized like a Saturday morning cartoon. So that felt in line, but it still had actual great writing and
Mm,
and it had competence to go along with the fast editing that made it work with its style.
okay.
This looks like uh, Lake Placid 3, but with one of the worst editors, I mean, visually, in terms of, like, the set
Right.
design. The I don't mind the bad CGI, but it's like, "Girl, could you make the floor look more real? Just use
Right.
the real floor."
I will give you that. The CGI for me is it's so nonsensical. It looks like it's a sci-fi channel show that had no budget at all. They throw
I
everything
should've just
towards
said
CGI.
Sci-Fi Channel show instead of specifying what sci-fi movie. No
Probably
offense to
because
Lake Placid 3.
I don't think anybody out there has seen Lake Placid 3 too much except for you potentially. So no one will know what you're talking about when it comes to that.
Oh, I mean, then I definitely should've just said forget Lake Placid 3.
And you mentioned
Although,
the Guardian show.
shout out, check it out.
You even mentioned the Netflix show. I don't think I even heard of that one. So that's again, but that's why I love
Everyone should
talking to
check
you.
out The Guardians of Justice Will Save You. However, keep in mind, it is very fast-paced.
I do. That's why I love talking to you, though. You always throw these stones out there. I'm like, I've never heard of that, but now I have to check it out. But what I think the idea behind it was, and I think what they were trying to do, and this is me trying to, I think the goal behind when the showrunner came in, and looked at this and said, this has been 4 episodes. It's something we complained about. This has been way too slow of a burn when we don't really care enough about anybody or anything yet. So I think the idea was we got to make this a faster paced show. Unfortunately, I think you're mistaking fast-paced edits with a faster-paced show.
100% they do.
I think that's going to get things going because, I mean, if you think about it, it does make sense theoretically because you're kind of like, at least if you're watching things and it's going faster, you got to feel more like, okay, well, because you're checking out what's going on. Does it work? I don't think it does, and I know you don't think it does, but I understand the theory behind it. It's unfortunately, again, like a lot of things happen. There's some okay ideas, but just horrible execution. Faster paced show, yes, we needed a faster paced show, just not done like this.
Well, for me, it doesn't feel faster paced when the editing is cut up like this. It feels like we cut away from them for 10 seconds for Anna and Marcus to talk, and then we cut back to them still continuing the scene. Just play the fucking scene,
Oh my god,
and then cut away.
like when I tell you that I don't always notice bad editing as much as you do, I literally wrote that as a note too. That was the worst thing. I was like, what the hell are we doing here? Like that was a conversation happening. You jumped this completely not important, like not related scene at all, just to like showcase where you were, and then go back to like, why didn't you finish that out and then go to that and then leave like that? It made
So
no
it
sense
ends
to
up
me.
feeling for me slower and
Mm.
jarring and then annoying. But
It
also it
was.
started with annoying.
I'm annoyed, but I was annoyed with it too. I was definitely annoyed with it too. I will admit that for sure.
But it also ends up, and maybe this is why for me the writing feels worse because
Okay.
it is so cut up, but also it's dumb. And there was a lot of it. I'm gonna be 100% honest, PLD. There's a couple scenes I just fast forwarded through because I'm like, this is so dumb. I don't care. And I
It's
figured it
fair.
all out. I'm like, I skipped the part where they talked about Hobbes with the FBI people, but I caught
Okay.
up with who he is and what he does. Didn't even need that scene. They should have just cut the whole thing out.
I agree with that. I actually agree. There's a little too much exposition, but we're gonna get to the Hobbes stuff for sure. I will say, I'm looking at it from a point of view where I'm like, okay, there's a new showrunner coming in, and he's trying to do something with the story, and I think he's got to move it along in a way that he wants to get it to where he's got to basically move it back to stage zero where he can start his storyline. That's what he's trying to do to kind of like wrap up some things and take whatever he did like about the first 4 episodes, at least as far as potential storyline goes, and like cherry pick what he wants and kind of like sets up some things. And I think that I would like to myself, again, having seen it before, I want to do it again. I like to give him a couple episodes to kind of like get that out of the way. Let's get this reset out of the way. I didn't expect this to be a completely different thing, and I'm glad because it wasn't. It wasn't a completely different. But I understand it definitely became much more faster paced. There was definitely more action to it than there had been previously. A little bit more action, but there was some problematic things as well that kind of like unfortunately undercut it. The next big question I had, and this is the one that is inexcusable to me, and this is where the writers are crappy and doing a crappy job. The showrunner has to get called out for this too because it doesn't make any sense. We have the fight sequence with the guy who shivs Jack. He makes it to Erica's house. Okay, fine. I get him tracking. We don't need any of that. Good fight sequence there between them. There's two things that bother me in there. First of all, he has the expository, well, that stings, but my heart's on the other side kind of thing. And then she kills him. And she says, get rid of the body. You have an alien specimen here in your living room. You could bring it somewhere to study. You could bring it to your FBI people. You could expose them to the world. You could do any of the above things. And they're just like, no, just get rid of the body. Why?
I have a question.
Okay.
Do we know how that guy knew to follow Father Jack and Erica?
You know that he saw him?
Why Anna wouldn't know about them?
There was a line that they did try, so I'll give them credit. They tried. There was a line from Ryan where he said that the security guy said, or they said that's because of their fear for Anna, a guy who effed up as much as this guy did by allowing the warehouse to be destroyed would not report this back to Anna until he cleaned up his mess. So he was going to go clean up his mess before reporting back to Anna. So Anna has no idea exactly what went down at the warehouse besides of maybe some footage or something. I don't know if they even added that. So that actually kind of made sense to me. He was too scared for how he knew where Jack was and where Eric was. I don't know about that aspect of it. The idea that he didn't report it back to Anna.
No, it's fine. It's TV. You can just
I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Yeah, actually, but I'm glad that they actually took the time to at least give it a little bit.
But it's like you're right. It's like the characters don't have any actual desire to figure out why the visitors are here.
I mean,
even though they have a visitor with them, working with them, that they could just ask this whole time. And he could go out and just be like, these are what the visitors are, and rip his own face. Like, there are options.
Yeah, and I can understand, like, him not wanting to do that. Can't reveal to his own girlfriend yet, so let alone revealing to the world.
He could get one of his old buddies that keep trying to knock him over the head, which he meets another one in this episode.
But that one doesn't die. I actually note that down. First time a fifth columnist gets introduced with Ryan, and that fifth columnist is not either dead at the end of the episode or turned against him at the end of the episode. Which I'm
still annoyed.
I actually liked her. Dr. Perlman actually made sense to me as a character. I kind of liked that. A visitor who
hadn't met a new fifth columnist every episode before, I would have been fine with it.
I get that too, but this one actually at least makes sense also as far as because now you have your girlfriend go to her about the pregnancy, someone who knows that she's a visitor, that kind of thing. That kind of makes it's a good introduction. It's a good character archetype there. The actress was fine too. I kind of seen her in other things. I can't remember where I've seen her in, but she's been in other things I've liked.
Very recognizable, working actress.
Absolutely. But yeah, going back to really quick, the other thing we were just talking about, if you go back to the original V, which we love, the miniseries and stuff, two things that stick out is that the whole idea was not only trying to figure out where they were going and what they were doing, but they had a whole big thing about revealing John's face to the masses. That was their whole big thing. If they had the Resistance had a big visitor that they could do that with, they would have done it because that's what makes sense. And as far as Ryan not being able to do it, that's why it's actually dumb to have a fifth columnist like Ryan, who is basically in the Resistance. Because when Donovan and Martin were there, Martin had to stay on the ship. Martin had to be part of the fifth part. Martin was more of the Joshua character. And that's a fifth columnist they could use. If Joshua was talking to them, but had to stay on the ship and couldn't betray himself and couldn't, because he has to stay in Anna's good graces or whatever. But having Ryan seem like an okay, cool idea on paper. Oh, have an actual visitor on the team, but it opens up so many questions and stupidity. That's what writers have to avoid. If you can't explain those questions, you don't have to explain every answer, but that's a pretty big missing point. You have your source right there, and he seems to be pretty high. This is not like a Willie character who Willie had no idea what was going on. I mean, he knew a little bit.
I mean, you should at least at some point have them ask, and if
Right.
he is like Willie, just say, "I'm like Willie did say I'm low level. I
Right.
just work."
Absolutely. That's an explanation. They said that to Ryan. Ryan's like, you know what? I was originally sent here as like a scout, but beyond that, I don't know what their plans are now. But it seems things seem to be getting darker and darker, and their intentions seem to be bad. That I could get on board with a little bit. Okay.
Let me ask you this, PLD. Haven't you seen the show? I have not. Do you know why these visitors are here in the show?
Nope. Not yet.
Oh my.
I mean, I don't remember if it gets revealed or not. That's the thing. I really don't
Okay.
remember. I don't remember. It might get revealed. I'm not saying it doesn't get revealed, but at this point throughout, I'm still like kind of like, I don't know. They want, from all I can tell, is that they want Tyler for something, but I don't know what that's for yet either. Theoretically, I mean, you realize it has to do with
Release it
Laura
to
Vandiver.
fulfill her destiny.
Right. That whole Tyler angle is the worst part of the show for me still, and I can't get over it. I'm just like,
Yeah. What were they thinking with Brandon's friend? Just stop.
it's like this whole. I mean,
Who
it's
watches the original V and thinks, you know what the best part of this was? Robin. You that explains the whole show, PLD. These people watched the original and thought the best part was Robin. It all makes sense. It all tracks.
And
We
the
can
funny
see
thing
it
is,
on the
that,
murder board. We figured it out.
that's what it is. They're trying to. It seems like they're actually trying to combine the Robin angle with the Sean Donovan angle, like because it's the child of the resistance leader, and Diana is kind of converting him, but not really converting him. She's just winning him over. Which theoretically, that is actually kind of a cool storyline. Again, on paper, having Erica being so gung ho, can't really tell her son everything she knows because she's trying to protect him, but because she's not telling him everything, he is in their grip and in their grip. Well, Anna knows that she can use him against him. All kind of like interesting plot lines, but the way they're doing it, I'm just like, I just don't care about Tyler. He's annoying me. The whole
she could have told
visuals.
her kid from the get-go, these aliens are lizard people and they're bad.
Yeah, it feels like before this, she should have had that conversation. I
And
guess
also
I could
now she
see.
can write it down and angle the paper away from the
Right,
sky
right,
jacket.
right. Then I was actually
You
going to
can say
mention
the
that.
sky jacket can't be in my house.
Right. Oh, that. Or they could just take him. She could take him out to dinner somewhere and be like, "Oh, we're going to leave
You
this
put it in the
spy jacket
washing
here,"
machine. I don't know.
something like that. Yeah, exactly. And there's no excuse for that beforehand. Like at this point, protecting him, she should have sat down and said, "Look, this is what I know. There's something going on here that you don't know about." And like, but instead, she does this like vague situation. I did like the thing coming out because at this point, at least was like, all right, so I can't say anything at this second, but then she still should be able to find it.
The
A way
thing
out of
is,
it.
like, she could have. Like, I know people who have, like, jobs where they can't talk about what they do. It's,
Right.
redacted and stuff. Totally understandable. But she's working outside the law. She could tell anyone anything.
That's true. That's true. But she's also probably, you know what? As a parent, maybe she's scared because he's so far in already that, like, if he decides to go confront them on his own because he's very rebellious, that might get him into more trouble, perhaps. Because you could see that if she told him the truth and he was like, "Fuck, I got to go talk to Lisa about this," and tells Lisa about it, then all of a sudden that's everything's all
What
problematic.
idiot would do that? Brandon's friend. Never mind.
Brandon's friend. Absolutely right. Yeah, I just don't understand the whole thing, and I keep saying, "Oh, he's perfect for this. He's perfect for that." I'm like, so maybe that's
It's to make alien babies. Let's not pretend we don't know what it's for.
right, exactly. But it's like, what's the point of it? I mean, I don't know. I mean, because in Diana and
It's
Elizabeth
really
and
weird,
Robin,
and it's
it was just
more creepy.
It is creepy. I mean, in the original, when you have the Elizabeth thing, it was definitely just a side effect of Diana experimenting on humans. Okay, I can get that. I can get on board with that a little bit. This right now, the way they're showcasing it is like it's the focus of what they're doing there. That's when there's nothing else that they're showing at this point. I mean, because they're ingratiating themselves with like people like Scott Wolf with Chad Becker. They're ingratiating themselves with the humans, and they're trying to cure the humans of disease, but also try to do. But like, why? We don't know. Nothing about water. Nothing about food. Nothing. We just have nothing, and that's a problem 5 episodes in.
Yeah, why did they come? I forgot. Why did they say they came here? Didn't they
They
want
ever said.
resources? But then we
They
don't see
wanted
them doing
anything with the resources, or even getting the resources. Like it's all. It's tough to watch that. I will say that.
It's so not thought out.
Yeah, yes, that's what it is. It's vague for vague's sake, and like it's like they're going to put this out there. It's the mystery box. It's the J.J. Abrams name. It's the mystery box.
The thing is, it's not.
But it's not good at it. Yeah, exactly. They don't. You know what? You're right, because like they don't even care to make it out to be a mystery. They just don't talk about it, which makes no sense at all. At least even in the surface level, it's like they should say like, "We're here to make friends," or "We're here to do this," and show them doing something. But it just is okay. But we know they're bad guys because you guys have seen V before, so you know that they're bad guys and they're aliens. So yeah, I don't get that. Speaking of Anna, we'll go through. I like how we last time went through the storyline. So like instead of like beat by beat, we'll go through just the storylines. Anna's storyline also. We have Anna talking with Marcus and Joshua. Can I ask you another question here? Why is Joshua in these strategy meetings?
He doesn't say anything.
Right.
He just stands there.
He's like the medical guy. You don't have like an army meeting with the chapel, like the chapel guy. Like it's so weird because he's like so high up in the rankings, but he's
I
not
mean,
anybody.
he should be the science officer like Spock.
Yeah, that would make more sense if he was in there, but that's not how they're depicting him. Again, it's a problematic thing. It's like I look at it.
So
If
like
I'm
I
bothered
said,
by it,
I think Diana likes him.
yeah,
I said
yeah,
Diana, not Anna. My
you did say
apologies.
that. That's okay. That's
Anna
okay.
likes him.
It does definitely feel strange to me. Yeah. Speaking of
But
Anna,
again, I think you're giving the show too much credit.
I could be. The point is, if I'm noticing it, that I feel like that's a problem. If I'm
Yeah, I
noticing
wrote it down. Like Joshua was in the room and he doesn't say anything. Like it's so strange. Like why? And then later when we have Anna and Joshua having a conversation about like I couldn't even tell because between 11:06 and 11:33, so for nearly 30 full seconds, the camera is spinning very quickly. For what purpose, I really couldn't begin to tell you. But I think Anna wants him to do medical checkups.
Yeah, or something like that, but we don't really know why. It's very bizarre. It's very bizarre.
Because I guess the R6 shot, blue shot,
We get an answer
does
at least.
something that emits a signal, I guess, that can
tracker.
turn people into sleeper.
It's just for what we can tell, it's just a tracker. It's so they can track them.
Well, because she said her new army, but I feel like there were two different answers for that. One, I felt like because she said do a medical evaluation on the new soldiers, and one of the images that pops up is Father Jack, who got the R6
Right.
shot, meaning I think since they said it emits a signal, which would I assume would be a tracker, but I think actually they mean for it to be like a sleeper agent thing. Like it will send a signal to turn them on, which just made me think of Stephen King's book, The Cell, which is not good, but that's neither here nor there.
It's one of the
But
ones
then
actually I haven't
also,
noticed.
when we get the weird Anna, I hate it. I don't even want to talk about it.
Are we going to get into it now? The whole creating the army at the end.
It's well, listen. We all know what a mantis is.
Hey, you know what though? I will say something. It gave me a little bit of a callback feeling to Diana and her men. A brief callback. The idea what they're trying to do.
PLD, no, how dare you? Diana was just a bad boss bitch, and she liked to have a good time. Anna just ate a guy she screwed so she can get pregnant and have soldier babies. It is the worst type of like Marxist feminine bullshit. I just feel like I'm dying in this anti-vax show. It's I'm just watching it cringing. This is not a show for 2024. This show could live and die in between 2009 and 2019. in a post 2020 world, this
No.
show is just PLD. It's a problem.
And I will say that looked like that was the worst sex I've ever seen in my life. It was over in like 2.5
I feel like
seconds.
they thought they were doing something with that, and
They
they
did.
weren't.
It felt like they were trying to be sexy, like because Anna comes in with a robe, she disrobes. It's like, okay, Marina Baccarat's a very attractive woman. It's like, okay, and she like, gets on top of him, and then like
The man just
we're
looks
done.
so sad the whole time, and I actually wasn't. I'm like, are they supposed to be?
I mean, right?
Did Tommy
miserable?
Wiseau block the scene? Okay, this man's like 6'4".
He was a
Nina
monster.
Baccarin is not that tall. Their head shouldn't be level. It's fine.
He reminded me of like that the Umbrella Academy guy. Like I don't know, I can't remember his name. I watched the first couple of
I
seasons,
can't think of the actor's name.
but it reminded me of him, like that really kind of almost out of proportion big guy. Like he had this like very almost thin body and big ass shoulders and stuff. But yeah, that was supposed to be sexy. It wasn't at all.
It was just weird.
And it's hard to have Marina Baccarin be like naked like that and not have it be somewhat sexy. But it got nothing. Like I was just like, this is just weird. And then she eats them to show you the effect
As you
of the.
do.
As you do, of course. But that's her also creating an army. So I guess we're learning that the visitors, like, she can mate once and create a lot of babies at once. Which
I hate it. I hate it so much.
like,
I
well,
hate it so much.
that's an easy fix for them, I guess, huh? So every time she needs, it's like, all right, give me on your necks. Let's create all
I
millions
really wish they did something more like the Cybermen in Dragon Ball Z. Like just plant some weird alien cabbages. Let's go. Vegeta Jr.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. All right. So that's anything more on the Anna side? Did you miss anything about Anna or anything? Or Lisa? Because Lisa didn't really do a hell of a lot either. She just
Lisa
sat there
watched
and,
Tyler's memories.
oh,
Did
that
I say his
memory
name
thing.
right?
You did.
Whoops, that was my bad. Sorry. Brandon's friends memories. And then she was like, it's a emotion. And then her mom was like, emotion.
Yeah, we don't like emotion here, basically.
And I hated every part of that too.
Yeah, me too. I didn't like any of that. I know what they're trying to do with that, and it's not working
At all.
Nope. And the memory thing was just kind of, I don't know, just kind of dumb. Like I just you put them.
I mean, I feel like it's trying to be. They're trying to. What was it called? What Dan did. Conversion.
Oh,
They're trying to do the conversion thing. I think this
yeah,
is like their version of that. Except
interesting.
it's just them watching their memories to see if they can
Attack something or
mate. I
grab
don't
onto
know.
something. We did see his father. We did see Tyler's father, who we haven't seen before.
I'm gonna be honest. When I was on Wikipedia looking up his name, I did accidentally read ahead, so like I already know the whole plot thing with that. But it's so dumb, PLD.
Okay. All right. If that's it for the Anna, Tyler,
And given that I already
Lisa.
know, this was such a stupid way. Like, just take him to the healing center. Oh my god, just do a blood test. It's not hard. I'm so mad about it. Like, if you want to see if you can mate with him, just do a blood test. You don't need to look at his memories. What is that going to tell you?
That's a great question. That's a very good question. I don't really know what they're looking for. What makes him be the one that they can mate with? Like, I don't even know what they're like. At least give us an explanation of like what. Oh, he's got this something. He's got this kind of something. Like,
they don't even need to drive a wedge between him and his mom. Honestly, it's like it's much better for them not to do that. But like, you're getting like have a sleep. Have your like tell your mom you're going over to Brandon's house and for a slumber party, and just come over to my spaceship. You know what I mean?
Well, nudge,
it's
nudge,
not
wink,
that
wink.
hard.
No, exactly.
Erica's never home. She's a terrible mother. She's not going to notice her kid didn't come home for the night. Come on.
It's fair. It's fair. She does it for a bit.
In fact, I believe the opening of the show is her not realizing her kid didn't come home that night, if I recall correctly. So I think it's good.
She got home and then realized it because all of a sudden there's no one there, and she sees the message from Brandon, who is that might be his last appearance of the show. I don't remember or not, but The question I think what could have been cool is if I almost wanted them to know that Erica was bad or against them, because then it makes more sense if Anna wants to like use Tyler against her in a way. Like if they didn't want to, for some reason, they didn't want to overtly go after her, but they still wanted to like kind of like spy on her or keep her whatever. That would be kind of a cool avenue to take. But because they don't have that avenue, it just feels they're there. Again, just feels there.
I think the biggest issue about this show is that it doesn't have anything to say. Like the original clearly had a message that was, anti-fascist.
Right.
That was the whole point of the show.
Right.
I don't know what the point of the show is.
No, this is
When
a
you strip
show.
this show of its message, it's how do you have a show about war and not have a message? Like
Right. Yeah.
it's just not something you could really achieve, I think.
They're trying to do action. They're trying to do the action part of the thing without the message part of the thing, and it doesn't work that way. Although I do think
Especially
the message is wrong.
when it has a source material that
Right.
is as thematic as the original is, it makes this really just difficult.
Yeah, you got to take a swing if you want to not have the same message. If you want to try to do something like have the idea and try to subvert it and do something else with it, I'm okay with an idea of trying to swing it that way. Hey, take a swing, but you're just basically taking it out. And it was what happened to the weekly series because like the weekly series became less about fascism and more about fun, campy sci-fi adventure at that point.
But
Like
they'd already done
they had the legwork,
the work.
right? They had done the legwork, which is true. But this is like the worst part about it, because at least as much as we poke fun at the weekly series, and we still had those kind of like fun adventure feel to it. Kind of had that like kind of like we had liked the characters already, so we were already all in. This is trying to be a serious show, but it doesn't have the serious weight to it, and that's my biggest problem with it. I think overall.
Yeah.
Which
But
brings me
it's also it's that, with this wanting to be an action show, we're fighting an enemy, but we don't know. It's not that you necessarily need to know what your enemy's end goal is. You don't need the villain monologue per se.
right
However, the villain monologue, I'm just gonna throw it out there. It exists as a trope for a
for a
reason.
reason.
It is useful.
Like exposition is not a dirty word. Like too much of it and done poorly, yeah, it's not good. But exposition does need to happen at times. We need to at least know something.
Or
And you don't even
this show can't do show don't tell, but that's an
right,
option. It's an option.
but they're not going
Or
with that
it's
though.
just even if the characters don't necessarily know, I feel like the audience should.
Yeah, no, that the characters don't need to know. You're absolutely right. But we have to have at least an idea, and we don't have to know all of it. We also there could be like things you're hiding and things that you're going to reveal later on down the line. But give us something besides they're bad guys. Okay, why? Why are they bad guys? Are they doing bad things? Okay, why?
And maybe I'm a little picky because even I don't I like a villain with motivation, and your
Mhm.
motivation isn't wealth or power. That's the end goal, is to have wealth or power, but they're motivated to have those things by something. That's what
Right.
I think is a really good, well-rounded, well-written character. However, I think the downside is oftentimes when you do that, generally you end up with audiences who feel a little bit too empathetic
Yeah.
towards the villain. I think is a
Right.
downside. But you gotta to have a villain where I don't know, they're making bad flu shots, I guess.
You
But
gotta
they're
have
also like healing people from terrible diseases too. So like, I don't know.
right. You
I
can't
feel
have
like
a
Big
smart
Pharma's been doing that for a while. I don't know.
you can't have a smart villain with a mindless villain plot. And that's what it is. Because you take out the mindlessness, you could have like a swarm of aliens who are just there to dominate, just to like destroy the world, because that's what they do. You could have that and be an action piece thing. That's what like War of the Worlds kind of feels like it is, and all that kind of things like that. But this is different. You're having people interact, and you're having them instead of. I mean, Jax says it best. Why don't they just annihilate us? I don't know. Why don't they just annihilate it as the line? It's like, why not? I don't know. Why? Because we don't know and they don't know. Again, they don't need to know, but we need to know. It's
And it's also the way that the characters talk to each other. I mean, we've been over this, but it's like they just talk in circles.
Yeah.
And don't advance anywhere. Or even when characters are like Anna and Marcus are talking to each other, where it's like it's like they know someone's listening, but they don't. So they can be more blatant, like, we're here to X, Y, and Z.
Right.
There you go. Did the thing.
All right, let's talk about the introduction of Kyle Hobbes. This is obviously, I think the showrunner decided like we have to have the Ham Tyler character. And no, is he as successful as Ham Tyler? Of course not. It's not Michael Ironside. I do think Charles Measure is a decent actor, and I like his introduction to the story. I do because, again, I like the idea of him more than some of the execution of it. But I like the idea of having someone who is kind of like a Han Solo type at first, like a New Hope Han Solo, in terms of he's doing it for the money. He doesn't really care about it. The thing, you have the good guys here, you have the bad guys here, you have Kyle Hobbes somewhere in the middle. He's a terrorist, he's a bad guy, but we need to use him because he is at least hopefully someone that knows how to do things that they don't. He knows he can get his hands on weapons that they can. He can help train them or whatever. That's something that's a point you can use in a storyline point you can use because you don't know if you can trust him, but you might need to trust him. I like the idea of his angle again.
I don't believe I'm the one who has to say this, PLD, but how dare you compare this man to Han Solo? I'll tell you right now the reason Han Solo works. The reason he works is because almost as soon as he's introduced, we have a scene with him where we learn that he owes a lot of money and he's in a lot of danger to like his personal health and his best buddy, Wookiee. Okay, we can't endanger the Wookiee PLD. There's not a lot of them, to my estimation. I don't know if that's true or not. We only meet the one. Guess they can only afford the one suit. It's whatever. It's fine. Doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. I just want a Wookiee show. But anyway,
the Sith. You got a bunch of them in Revenge of the Sith.
But the reason it works in terms of later when he takes the money at first is because we do know that this is important for him in terms of, living.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm not. Let me interject and say
I'm making a point real quick. Why it doesn't work here is when it's hey, we're a bunch of people, we need you, this is dangerous, this is serious, this is bad. And he said, unless there's money in it, I don't care. Is that we don't know anything about him except that he's a greedy bastard. The reason it works with Han Solo is we do know why he needs the money. We don't know why this guy needs the money, so it doesn't work.
Well, I want to pull back the comparison of Han Solo. I just mean like in terms of just being someone who wasn't in the rebellion. That's all I meant by that. Somebody who's like a middle character that's not there with them fighting for the cause. He's just fighting for himself at first. And you're right. Absolutely. I think that if this character is going to work, you have to get a little bit deeper in. I do like the idea of because she convinces him because the visitors are trying to frame him for the explosion. Why are they trying to frame him? Because he's reportedly one of the most dangerous men on the planet as far as action bits go. So I guess it's a smart decision by the visitors to try to take out somebody who they maybe not be able to get in conventional methods. I'm not sure why yet, but that makes sense. But I like the idea of it makes sense to me that he'd be like, well, the visitors are framing me. I kind of maybe should stick around and see if I can find out what's going on or how I can get out of this. While still making a boatload of cash, hopefully, as it goes along. Speaking of Kyle, I want to just jump real quick to one good scene that I liked, or one good story point that I did like.
Kyle Hobbes? Because I just put Hobbes in my notes. Okay.
Yeah, it's Kyle Hobbes. Sorry, it basically goes by Hobbes for the most part anyway. Just the beginning they say Kyle, which is interesting. I bet he was he named after Kyle? Our Kyle? Maybe that might have been a callback, but that means they'd have to watch the show. So I don't maybe not. I did like the introduction where the idea was Erica sitting there in the FBI office with Paul, who is her boss, and with Marcus. And they have the idea they're doing the prints and everything else. And it showcases that Kyle Hobbes' prints was on the warehouse explosion. And Erica has to sit there knowing that is a bold-faced lie because she knows that Kyle was not there, that she was the one involved. I did like that as a piece. So I want to give credit where credit's due. I thought that was a good. I love scenes like that where the good guys have to like pretend like everybody knows that you're lying, or I know you're lying, but I can't say it.
You're really glad that you enjoyed that. Happy for you, guy.
Okay, fair. So what? All right. So what did you think of Kyle Hobbes? You didn't like him at all? No, yeah. Okay.
No, just I'll be honest. Fast forwarded through a bit of that. I was just, this is not. I can't. Oh, are you kidding me? This is terrible. I can't even deal with this.
I did like Hobbes. I liked him. I like his idea.
Fuck this guy. I'm out.
I mean, obviously, surface level, they wanted to get the Ham Tyler character in. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
I
agree with that. I think they talked him up too much. And that's I feel like that's gonna. Again, don't create a character that's the smartest character in the world because you're not the smartest person in the world. Don't create a character that's the most like badass, person in the world because you're gonna show them failing constantly because the show has to keep going.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a great point. At least him being on the outside of it makes it able to, because if he doesn't care about the cause and he just like, if people fail because he trains them and they fail, he can still get away and be like, oh, I don't care about what you're doing. He could like, I could see like there's a point in mind where he could like you should do this. Like, well, I can't do that because something morally or something like that. And then they fail. And he's like, see, you fucked up. If you follow me, you do it, get it right. But that might come into play later on, if I remember correctly. I'll find that out. I don't want to go too far into it because I don't remember all of it. I will say, I will give, going back to your side of the fence there on the hate train wise, after talking him up, and he is the most wanted man in the FBI list. He is probably the most dangerous man in the world. That's what they're saying, right? They're like you said, they're talking about his biggest badass, smart, whatever. He's avoided capture. Dale has his last known address on his hard drive, and he's there. What? It's like I have Hannibal Lecter's home address, but he's still gonna. The FBI has the address, and he's sitting there. Is that like his last known address? Fine. Like that. We had history of the guy. He was known to have the residence there at some point, but then having him be there is like ridiculous.
It's like, couldn't it be his mom's in a nursing home, so they stake it out? Come on,
something like that. Yes.
I don't even like that, like lazy. How they found him, why they set him up. It was all just so unnecessarily overdone, but also dumb.
It was lazy. That's
I felt like I was watching I Know What You Did Last Summer. I'm like, this is so overly complicated for no reason. They just ran over a guy and he wants revenge. Why are you bringing in all these extra people?
Great question. It's a great question. They're remaking that, and I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know how to feel about that at all, to be honest with you. I will throw out there, I'm young enough that I don't know about other people out there. I read the book, I Know What You Did Last Summer, before it was a movie. Like it was just like a little teen thrasher, and teen slasher kind of thing. And I don't even know how I got the book, but it was not famous at all. And all of a sudden I read it like 3 or 4 years later, it became a movie. I was very excited about that because I was the only person I knew who had ever read this book. Just a random throwing out there. The book is better too.
And were you disappointed?
Yeah, a little bit. I think the book was much better, to be completely honest. But then again, I don't know if I want to reread it though. So one of those things that like it might have been okay at the time, and I was easier. I might have been even easier to please, which I know seems hard to imagine, but I might have been even easier.
It probably seems like I'm so difficult to please, but I just. I will say from the get-go, this is already the type of show I would never watch.
Right.
So it's set up for failure for me.
And that makes sense. I think this is why we actually worked well together on it, though, because you are more difficult to please, not as bad as you think, but I'm easier to please. But I also obviously have pointed out things that I have not liked as well. So I think we actually work well I think we kind of somewhat meet in the middle sometimes for it, which is good.
Come on, PLD, work with me. Have you ever rage quit a movie?
Hey, what?
Rage quit a movie.
Rage quit a movie. I'm trying to think of it. I know I have. I can't remember what
I
it
just
was,
need to
though.
make sure.
Definitely have at one point. I can't remember what it was, though. It is a hard thing for me to do because I am a completist. It's like an OCD for me. So like I'm one of those people, I will hate watch it into the end. And I'm kind of like, I started this thing, I'm gonna finish it. It must have been something really long. That's the only thing I could think of. Like if it was like an hour in. No, I finished that one. And I enjoyed it for what it was. I did. I enjoyed it for what it was. I'll never watch it again. There's no chance in hell I'll ever watch it again. But I, appreciated the swing.
Okay.
I appreciated the swing. I thought they did a good thing. I thought they had a good tone. They were doing what they're doing, but yeah, I definitely could not watch that again, I don't think. Because at the end, I was tired at the end of that one. I felt myself being physically tired at the end of that one.
Well, you were watching, white noise. I think that usually puts people to sleep. Although they didn't have the is it national anthem that plays at the end of the broadcast day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or yeah. That's what they do.
My knowledge of this 100% is from the 1982 film Poltergeist. So just a guess.
Oh, very good movie that is as well. I love that movie. All right, we keep talking about other things that are probably better than this episode, but we should finish up the episode. What else we got that went on? Okay, so that was basically all the Hobbes stuff. I think we talked about him most. I think he's still got. Do you see any potential with Hobbes at all, or are you just like done with him already?
If he's just going to be okay, what I foresee him being, and maybe that's the reason I'm so put off by his character, is he's going to be someone who is in opposition within the group. And I just don't care enough to watch them bicker.
Hmm.
And I don't care enough to watch infighting amongst the good guys. So,
all right.
If they skip all that, I'm fine.
Okay, fair. I guess that's fair. I'm not going to say either way. I'm not going to spoil you. I want you to enjoy this for what it is on your own viewing, inhabitants. So, all right, let's talk.
Thanks, PLD.
You got it.
That's a real solid. I'll remember that.
Whenever we do something next week,
come Christmas when I send you coal.
That would be fair. I would expect nothing less. All right. What about Ryan in this one? I got to say, my biggest problem with Ryan from the get-go in this one is I look at it. We have jumped 6 weeks or whatever it is. And I wrote down, she has some issues with pregnancy, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, 6 weeks, Ryan? Dude, you got to start figuring something out. Like, you're just ignoring it, hoping it's going to go away. Like, what do you, like, she's going to go to the doctor. Oh, you're going to the doctor already 6 weeks in? You're going to go to the doctor. Yeah, you're going to go to the doctor already 6 weeks into a pregnancy. Like, what did you think was going to happen?
He was surprised she was eating more. Like,
Ryan is the most frustrating character for me the whole bunch of them, I think. Besides Tyler.
Like, you're an alien. Your wife doesn't know. She's pregnant. You're shocked. I think take a day to recover. That's fine. Understandable. Yeah. But next day, honey,
I have something to tell you.
I mean, it was 2009. Back then they had options. I'm just saying.
Honestly speaking, like I don't. That's something that this show didn't want to touch at this point, which is surprising.
But I would have just not done the pregnancy plot then.
Yeah, exactly.
But because
that was a big part of the first.
I think you would immediately have to be like, there's gonna. I don't like. You'd have to be thinking like, what would a pregnancy? We're different species. I know someone who was pregnant. Their babies blood type was different. They had to take medication because of that. Like a baby is not like it's a normal thing to happen, but like you have to be. There are a lot of like anything different happening has to be accounted for.
Right.
Like
And
it's not an easy thing. This guy must be praying for the worst case scenario here.
right.
Because
And
if he doesn't want, you have to tell your wife at this point, and you have to get her to special secret doctor.
right.
Like you don't have an option now.
The writers are all men, obviously. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but I gotta assume they're all men, and that's part of why, because they don't understand pregnancy at all. Yeah, exactly, and that's where the Dr. Perlman thing comes in. I like that aspect. Again, one of the things I like the aspect. Fine, like a day after, even if he doesn't want to tell her yet, at least get the doctor right away and go, look, I'm a visitor. She's not. I can't have her finding out about me yet. I don't know how to do this yet. I'm still trying to figure this out. Can you at least look after the pregnancy and see what's going on and try to help me through this? At least that's an option. At least that's something. At least you got something on your mind besides letting it go. Because letting it go is never going to be a good thing. And that's the problem with this whole character.
And honestly, it's something that's going to bother me. If she goes back to the healing center, I'm going to flip a fucking table. I already know what's going to happen. But it's like, you're in a relationship with someone. This is a very serious medical appointment. Like, you're pregnant. This is something that your spouse has to be kept up to date with because it's, that's how having a kid works.
Mm-hmm.
And also, that's how your health works. He has to be like, you can't go there for obvious reasons that they'll probably keep you an experiment on you.
Right, exactly. It's just
also those flu shots, babe. Don't get the flu shot.
Don't get the flu shot. Yeah, no.
Like the fact that he's not telling his wife anything is so ridiculous.
Agreed. Frustrating. Very, very frustrating.
Oh, are they married or still engaged? It doesn't matter.
I think they're engaged. I think they're just still engaged, but I don't know. It doesn't. And that's the problem. Again, that's the problem. It's like this whole idea is like they want to introduce what this show does. It tries to introduce stuff that are interesting storylines, but they don't think it through all the way, and then just kind of leave it vaguely hanging there to keep going.
I feel like I wrote down in the first episode that she was still a student. Maybe I just completely messed that up. I don't know.
Maybe she was taking classes. I mean, I know she's been a psychiatrist.
Yeah, like I thought. I don't know. Maybe she was just taking a class. I don't know. I was maybe just got confused.
It could have been. Who knows? With this thing, you never know. Maybe she was at that point. Who knows? But yeah, that's their whole thing. And the only other thing about Ryan and Val, who I always struggle to remember that name, so don't worry about that. There are definitely some callbacks to Robin and her pregnancy. We had the desire to eat a mouse, or the craving. That's what the craving for mice or whatever at one point, which is definitely a throwback. I also wrote callbacks,
which doesn't make any sense. Like, you don't have cravings based on your species. You have cravings based on your knowledge of food. How would you know what you had a craving for? And also, you have cravings based on generally during pregnancy, like something that oftentimes sometimes it's just weird stuff, but oftentimes it's like something you're lacking. So like if you're like craving a hamburger because you eat hamburger and that's something you're familiar with, what you're actually needing is probably iron or whatever.
Right. Well, I will argue back into this. You could do this in a sci-fi world. We don't know the visitor species enough yet. Perhaps because like in the original V, the lizard baby was attaching itself to her too much. Maybe it's an instinctual thing from the visitor baby, like getting it into her system, adding those instincts to that.
I did apply too much real world logic. You're correct. That was my bad. The show just annoys me.
I get it.
The thing that I tried not to do.
Right. I mean, you shouldn't try to do, but I understand why you do, because I go in here like, I will say the problem I have is even someone like me, I go in here like I'm almost looking for things wrong with it now. So I'm always like, they're doing so much wrong, like, and not that it needs help, because there are a lot of things that are glaring, but even things like that, I could see why you attack it. Even like when I could see where you could have an explanation for it that works enough, because there's so much other crap going on that you're like, well, and this.
Can I bring up a side thing?
Yeah,
that I wrote
absolutely.
in my notes
100%.
in terms of like writing. So back when George went to see, I guess it's Father Jack's boss. I don't
Yeah,
know the
he's the
hierarchy of
basically, I actually was a
Catholicism.
Catholic growing up. I'll say real quick what it is. Basically, if you have two priests at a church, there's one that's been there longer, and he's like the head guy, and there's like the guy under. He's Jack's like the guy underneath him, like kind of like almost like a assistant, so to
Oh,
speak.
okay. So anyway, so George asks about Father Jack, and this bothered me. It bothered me so much. The father says there was an accident. He got stabbed.
Did it say accident? I thought he said
He said
incident.
accident.
Did he say that? Oh, that's awful. Yeah, I think I thought he said incident.
Maybe he said incident. I heard full accident. I
Well,
hope he said incident and didn't say accident.
I'm gonna try to see if I can go back. So I mentioned this before. Sometimes I have it on in the background. I'll see if I can find it. Because I agree. If he said accident, that is awful.
I was like, oh my God, basic writing. Come on. I can't. I can't. I
Uh,
hope he said incident and I just misheard because I don't think I had closed captions available on Tubi for this one.
I do. I own it on Amazon, so I do have it. Yeah, he did say accident.
Oh my
It says
God.
accident.
See, it's just little things like that where it's like you're not even trying to write. Like this shows a level of incompetency I couldn't even get behind. Like this is someone that I would take a red marker like in an English class and be like, let's talk about what words mean. If
right.
something's done on purpose, what is it not?
It's not an accident. It could be an incident. Maybe they were thinking
Yeah.
incident and road accident. I don't know. Maybe it's the actor's old. Maybe he said it wrong. But then you stop the actor and you say, no, you don't say accident. You say incident. You refilm it and reshoot it, or even have an ADR it. If
You could definitely ADR that because
Right.
it's so close.
Right, it's close enough, but
There was a weird moment. I don't know if you felt this way where I think it's the first time we see Ryan and Erica together at her house with the dead body and they're talking. Like I felt like the audio felt off somehow. Like it just felt really weird.
I do think that too. I wonder if there was some ADR there. Potentially that was just covered it. I don't know. It did. I don't remember what it was either, but I do remember going, that's kind of
Sounded
strange.
kind of, I don't know, like muffled,
Muffled.
not
Right.
quite sinking. It just like it didn't feel like that the sound had weight to the action that was
Yeah.
happening.
I agree with that. I'll agree with that.
Apologies. That's just something for me I notice and pick up on a lot. So that's just that it's nitpicky. The accident thing isn't nitpicky. That's just bad
No,
writing.
that's
And
just
that
bad
I
writing.
cannot abide.
100%. And it's actually funny.
Oh,
I
totally.
am someone who never ever used to like ADR never bothered me. I never noticed it, generally speaking. Like, it just kind of, I guess why I was usually being so enraptured in the world, it never bothered me. Sometimes things people have like pointed it out to me, and I'm like, how did I not notice that? But now I find myself picking up on it more and more when it's bad ADR, and I don't like that I do, but
Generally, I'm okay unless it's like, because I grew up on like Godzilla and stuff, but for whatever reason, those Italian horror movies, I just can't do them. And 90% of it, yes, is because Bob in House by the Cemetery. But no, like some of those, they're just so awful.
I remember the one
That's
I
me,
remember being the
Italian.
worst was Halloween 5 with the cop. The time the cop was in the car, they drove up to the Myers house. I don't remember the dialogue. The voice was so badly ADR that even in my older day when I didn't
I've
notice
never
it, I
noticed.
noticed it. Okay, well, good. I'm glad I got one that you didn't. But Halloween 5 with the
See,
cop
like
in the
in a
car.
movie where there's not a lot of ADR, I generally don't really notice it. It's usually it's like an Italian horror where it's like the whole thing and it's
All right.
unavoidable.
Yeah.
But with it, if the audio feels, I don't know, like messed up, that's something that I pick on real quick though.
Fair enough. That's fair. I was gonna say, oh, speaking of the incident line, I felt like I want to like Georgie. I want to like Georgie. I just wish they would give him something to do better.
Yeah, he feels like Willie now, kind of.
Yeah, he's like this kind of bumbling guy. Whereas like he first got introduced, you're kind of like, okay, he's kind of like a wild card kind of guy. Like you could see him being like somebody who goes a little off the reservation at times, but now it's like he's almost just kind of there. And it's like you have a good actor here because he had some of the best acting sequences there when he talked about his family and everything else. I felt like he had some great moments, but then it's like, what are you doing with them? Because we don't see his personal life ever. Like we see Ryan with Val, we see Jack at the church, we see Erica with Tyler, and we see Georgie with the Resistance, and that's it. And I think that's a mistake because I think that's a character they could have developed better, perhaps even better than Ryan at this point. Getting rid of the whole Ryan Val storyline and the country got on Georgie would have been a better choice. Again, just pointing out things I didn't like for that.
I'd like to point out we have 2, potentially 3 pregnancy storylines, and I
3?
don't like it.
What's the third?
Potentially with Lisa and
What's the
Brandon's
second?
friend.
We got Val and Ryan.
Anna.
Oh, Anna's okay. I don't think we're getting Anna pregnancy. I think Anna's just,
Like just because she's the mother alien from Alien Resurrection doesn't mean it's not a pregnancy storyline. PLD.
There, you're right. You are
She
absolutely
had hunger
right.
pains. It counts.
Is that what it is? That's what it is. Okay, fair.
I don't know. I was just making the joke work.
It worked enough for me. I think the last bit we haven't really touched on is the Chad Decker angle thing.
He's always last.
Yeah, we do save him for last every time, don't we? I wonder why that is.
Well, yeah.
I don't hate his storyline. It just, we've mentioned it before. Obviously, it's kind of grown a little stale already because it's kind of okay, we see what you're doing. I do like this idea. Well, it's a cool idea. Again, tying back to the thing that I like that you didn't like about Erica being in the room. The visitors tell him he's going to die if he doesn't get this thing healed. But also, conveniently, the humans, science, or doctors can't see that. And the doctor even says, I can't say anything. I can only know that human technology can't see it, and we wouldn't be able to operate anyway. So that seems like he's not stupid either. So, but what would you do in the situation? Visitors tell you, all right, you're going to die. But in your head, you're like, well, they're saying this to get me on their side. But are they? So he's put in a kind of a weird situation. I don't even know how I would react. I don't know how I would have interaction in that, given what we know from, we're not the audience. So what do you have any thoughts on Scott? Is it an okay storyline? Are we like that part of it, or is it kind of just too silly?
It just feels so overly manipulated.
Right.
It's like, so I don't believe them. I assume this is a lie to get him to do something,
Right.
be on their side.
Right. Well, to have the idea, he has the line of dialogue. There is a line of dialogue. Well, we could heal you, but there is a long list of people ahead of you or whatever. And so if you do what we tell you, you'll jump to the top of the list. So, okay. So that is the pure manipulation, but it makes it worse that way because it just feels like complete manipulation. It almost feels
they're not subtle.
Right. Right. Exactly. And that's what the problem is. Because now it's okay, where does Chad Decker fall? Where does Chad Decker fall?
I like that they showed him going to see a doctor.
Right.
So we know, in their world, I don't know, it's not like blood pressure medication or something, or blood thinners or something he could take.
Right.
That would help, or I don't know, whatever.
Alleviate the situation. Right. It's kind of, it felt like it's okay, we got to do something with Chad here. I want to get, and this is not a spoiler, so I don't exactly remember. I would want to get Chad to be more in contact with the Resistance because it feels like that's a good potential storyline there. Having Chad be on the side of the Resistance, but kind of so far in, they kind of never. It would be Christine Walsh if Christine Walsh was done better because I always feel like that was one of the weaker parts of the original V was her character. I think they could have done more with her character. Because she is very all in the visitors. Donovan goes to her. It really only happens at the very end where she does sneak aboard the mothership to check on Sean. But of course, when it happens at the LA Medical Center, she turns on him and Dinah kills her. But it feels like that could have been a better longer term thing. Someone who's so deeply invested in the visitors, but becomes a resistor. that's a cool storyline. You could have different angles to go on in that. So that's why I kind of hope for Chad. I can't remember what happens, so we're gonna find out together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just don't know if that. I mean, I guess that works. It's just so drawn out and slow that it's I just don't care. Like, I
Okay,
just don't care.
that's fair.
I felt like Anna was I think I wrote Anna's making him a patsy for Flugate,
Okay, yeah,
but that's not the case. I don't know why I wrote that because she's not making him a patsy for it.
no, he's just
But
trying to push
she's
you.
trying to sell people on the healing centers still.
Right.
We've not moved that forward. We've not really moved his I just don't feel like we moved him forward in terms of like trusting them or not. It's just kind of a mutually beneficial relationship. But that doesn't necessarily require trust.
Yeah.
If anything, I think it would imply quite the opposite in this case. So I just don't know.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair.
I just I started so strongly on him, and now I'm so lukewarm on it.
Yeah. So I almost hate to ask, but I almost have to ask. At this point, you have to pick a storyline that is your favorite part of it.
The credits.
It's cheating. That's cheating. How about your least hated?
Uh, uh,
At one point, he said like last week was kind of Father Jack. How about that? Is he still okay for you?
he's my favorite character.
Okay. Okay.
Gosh, I got, I got nothing, man. It's just not.
Not clicking. It's not clicking. That's okay. That's okay. Except for you have 17 more episodes to watch. You can do it though. You can do it. I have faith in you. I have faith in you. But until then, where can the folks find your Lego?
I'm Lego Rants on YouTube, and you can also find me on YouTube under the Unhinged Binge, and also with that title on Instagram and Spotify. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Leave it at that. Okay, fair. Find me at Paul _ Denuzio on Twitter. You can find me all over this channel. Obviously, we do review every other week, which we are committed to finishing the series, and then we will maybe we'll go back and do some of the books and stuff, which at least get us back to some of the original characters, and maybe that'll brighten Lego's day, hopefully, potentially, anyway. And other shows we do Holy Snokes every week. This is actually, you're seeing this on Wednesday. I've actually switched days because I'm recording Holy Snokes, my Star Wars podcast, on Thursdays with Matty Gunner. So review going forward will be on Wednesdays instead of Thursdays, and Holy Snokes will be on Thursdays. I'm also doing the John Wick franchise on Two Mediocre White Dudes on film. Myself and PJ are going to finish up that. We are doing I'm recording John Wick Chapter 3 on 2 days from now. That'll be out that same day. And then we're going to go on to Nightmare on Elm Street after that to finish out the big 3 horror franchises. We did cover Halloween. We did cover Friday the 13th. Now we're going to close it out with Nightmare on Elm Street. And then I'm doing the one-offs, which is my musical thing where I'm doing more of recently with taking people and their loves of certain things. Like we had Kidnap Sock with Oasis, Mark Ellis with Van Halen. I'm going to do Chris Clark, friend of the show, on Billy Joel, which should be fun, a fun time for that. He's a big Billy Joel guy. I had to decide whether to do Billy Joel or Meatloaf, and we went with Billy Joel. We'll try to do Meatloaf another time because I know he loves
Would
Meatloaf
you do
also.
anything for love?
I would do anything, just not that. Nice. I think that's it. Oh, my Queen podcast every Friday as well, which we're on the Game album and going through that quickly. So, yeah, that'll do it, guys. We will see you here in two weeks' time. I believe it's Hearts and Minds, the next episode, I believe. I can't off the top of my head. But we will be back to talk about all your favorite characters: Jack, Chad, Anna, Kyle Hobbes, Father Jack. I already said Father
Brandon's
Jack.
friend.
Georgie, Brandon's friend. Lisa, the blonde, basically wood post, basically. And yeah, I'll do it. Until next time, guys. Right day now, everybody. Right day now.